Hey, Coach.
Hey, there you are, live
How are
from
you,
Rock.
man? Live from Rockford, Illinois. What is new and exciting in your world?
Getting used to the fact that we're getting a couple of days that are 90 degrees here, and I'm not sure why that is.
Yeah, it seems crazy because today's like what? We were just talking 74, something like that.
Right, right. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
been lucky, been happy to be able to get out and see this, be out in the sun, have a good time, tool around in Rockford a little bit, see some places I haven't seen in a long time. So walk a little bit, get some exercise.
Nice. A little bit of walking never hurt nobody. That's good. We have a really awesome guest today. Um, he is a part of the Brunswick Corporation, Brunswick Bowling. Um, He has been a longtime friend of mine, or people that I've known for quite some time in the business. Ron Bragg has. I've had some many good years knowing him, and it's great that he's had some time to be able to sit down and chat with us. I know that we're all pretty busy trying to get things going at this point, probably, or whatever the case may be, or dealing with things at home. So we certainly appreciate it. We're gonna add Mr. Ron Bragg here onto the show. Hey, hey.
Hey there. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
It's
Busy,
good.
busy. I think Coach has said that he's been doing some golf every once in a while, too.
Yeah, I've been losing a lot of balls here lately. A lot of Titleist are hitting the water, but that's okay.
It's not good. Well, we appreciate you coming on to chat with us today. We have been trying to put people that are in the business or bowl the business or work the business on here to maybe give people a perspective of kind of who they are, what they do, and maybe some things that are kind of going on in the world. Obviously, we all kind of know what's going on in the world right now, I suppose, but maybe what's been kind of happening for you. And Coach and I have some questions. Most of the questions are pretty much going to come from Coach, and I'll add in all the comments as we go here and there for people that have things to say. So with no further ado, hey, Coach, why don't you go ahead and lead into it?
All right, buddy. It's really good to see you again. I know you're a guy that's been on the road a lot, and I guess been able to stay around the house for a little bit lately. But what I like to always do is kind of start off with our guests as to when did you get started bowling, Ron?
Personally, I was 7.
Yep.
My first game was 7. When I was 7, they didn't have bumpers back then. In that, yeah. So it's been a long time ago. We're working on 50 years since I first started bowling. Andrew wasn't even thought of back then.
Nope.
Of course, I wasn't either. So when you were 7, take us through a little bit of your career from whenever you were 7. What did you do? Junior bowling? Kept going?
Started into junior leagues when I was 7. That would have been banned. It was back then in the AJBC. For those of you that are older, you can remember some of the old acronyms, compared to what it's all gone through. In that bowled juniors all the way up until I was 18 years old. I actually started in the bowling industry when I was 13. I started working in a bowling center when I was 13 because my mom was the manager of a center. So I could work in the center because she was there, part of the rules in the great state of Wisconsin, where I was born and raised. In that, I started out cleaning on weekends, actually. So Friday and Saturday nights, I'd work the graveyard, and clean the bowling center with another guy. And then work my way into pen chasing, work in the front desk, tended a little bar, cook some food, everything you do when you're working in a bowling center, right? And that.
Right.
Through the whole time, though, my parents supported me in youth bowling. We traveled a lot to a lot of different places to bowl in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and things like that. So a lot of bowling through my youth. Even into adulthood, and as I turned into adult leagues when I was 18, right after I graduated from high school, Started bowling USBCs, which back then was ABCs. In that, and have bowled, I don't even know how many. It's been very sporadic, and I honestly haven't bowled anything competitively since 1993. And just a lot of reasons for that. I was working for the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour, traveling all the time. It was just hard to join a league, hard to bowl in anything because I was traveling a lot, as you said at the beginning here. Done a lot of traveling in my life. I've been pretty fortunate to be able to do that, but that's kind of where it goes. So in and out of leagues, in and out of tournaments, just really gravitated toward the business side of it at a very young age. I mean, when I was, again, 13, I hung around the pro shop more than I did anything, learned a lot from a guy named Paul Richardson. He had the pro shop at Arcade 3 Lanes in Platteville, Wisconsin. And in that, he taught me an awful lot. A guy named Dick Rice taught me a lot. And then just kind of moved up through different places, got in some pro shops, actually in Rockford, Illinois. That's where I started with my own, leasing from John Summer. And then John hired me as the player services director for the Ladies Professional Bowlers Tour, the LPBT. Again, another old acronym. Doing that. Did that for just about 7 years. And then I went to I moved to Reno, Nevada, started at the Reno Hilton, which is now the Grand Sierra. Had a pro shop there, really successful. And was fortunate enough to be, I think, in the right place at the right time. When they were getting ready to open the stadium, had the opportunity to go to the National Bowling Stadium and run that pro shop. I did that for about 7 years and then started with Brunswick a little over 20 years ago now. So.
Wow. We talked to some of the guys that worked on the ladies' truck. That was a pretty hectic schedule. I think we're talking to Sean. I know we were talking to a couple of guys. I can't remember who were on the tour.
Yeah, you've had Tony Hall on recently. You've had
Tony
Sean Morris.
Hall.
Yeah.
Chris Schlemmer, all the guys who kind of have some understanding of where you guys were at for sure.
Yeah, that was a rather hectic schedule, wasn't it? It was as far as like 7-8 days a week. It's just a constant go with the girls all the time.
I actually started when I first started, Coach, right before they actually allowed me to hire Tony. I was the first player services director in that, so I was by myself for about, I think it was like 9 or 10 weeks where I did it by myself, and it was 18-hour days, working, and it was 7 days a week. I mean, it was everything, literally driving the truck, had to get a CDL. I drove the truck. When I got to a place, I'd have to set everything up, get all the office equipment out, all of the paperwork, those things, set up the paddock. We had a weigh-in station back then because we milled holes and weighed them in and all that stuff. And that drilled all the equipment, helped with ESPN production back then. It was all ESPN, every show. Actually helped the guy, Jock, who still does lighting on most of the bowling TV shows. He's still around and everything. I actually worked part-time for him on TV day and helped him hang lights. Did some scoring here and there, did some coaching here and there, just a lot of different things. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. And we did work long hours. It was 14 to 16, sometimes 18-hour days. I will never forget one. We actually had a TV show in Rockford at the Cherry Bowl. And it ended at about 9 o'clock Central Time. And I had to be in Houston, Texas the next evening for the Pro-Am. And I loaded up the truck and left while the TV show was still going. I had to leave so I could get there in time. Drove straight through and got everything down there, set up, and ball transport, all those fun things that we used to do. And that was a pretty crazy time.
Wow. Well, you weren't busy. You were just a little bit busy. Oh, my gosh. I mean, that was crazy. I know you have to have a love and a passion to go out there. I know a lot of young guys were telling me over the years that it'd be really, really cool to be out there way back to the days of Litchie and Bill Hall and Randy Stoughton. There's a lot of guys that's been through that truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really interesting stuff you got. How are things going with Brunswick now since the merger? Brian, has it been going pretty good? What's going on?
Yeah, things are phenomenal. Unfortunately, COVID's put a little bit of thrown a little monkey wrench into our gears, right? I think it has for everyone. We
Yeah,
had some huge momentum going in. We had just released the Hammer brand balls for the first time, out of our camp,
Yep.
and everything. We had just got, all four of the brands. We had just released some products, and then unfortunately everything shut down, and we did have a lot of momentum. We have great products there. I mean, they were already proving themselves out. We had just got done with a seminar run to all of our pro shops, and introducing all those new products and all of that. And we're looking forward to getting back to that, and getting back to getting going again, and keeping that momentum going. It's definitely crazy in a really good way, right? I mean, it's been a crazy busy, but not in a bad way by any means. It's been fun. We certainly have had a lot of fun with it. Bowling is fun. We need to make it fun as we work through these things, and and all of that. So it's been crazy, but in a really good way is probably the best way for me to describe how the merger's gone. Learned a lot. Some of the ways of things that had been done, we're going to try and change them, and some of them we certainly aren't. I mean, we brought on, I believe, 5 pretty strong people from Hopkinsville, to help us out. And Rich Hansen, I have actually under me, I have Adam Ishman and Dave Wadka. Brought on Brad Bridges, and then we have Randy Teitloff also. So those 5 guys they were pretty integral parts of the brands that came from Hopkinsville that we did acquire, in that merger. And we're certainly using their knowledge and their background and melding that with what we currently have at Brunswick with Billy O and Ray Edwards and Brian Graham, Bugsy Kelly, our entire team, all of our sales guys, all of our people behind the scenes that a lot of people don't even know. Just melding all of that together it's been a really, really cool to see it come together. And I think that so far, so good. I mean, we're looking forward to get going again. Like I said, a little monkey wrench in the gears there, right? But I think everybody's experienced that. So.
Yeah, I know in the years past, that's really a good guy to get on board, Randy Teitloff. A lot of technical, great information from that guy. He's been with Elbanite for quite a long time.
Yeah, 30 plus years from Randy, and they mixed out with Ray Edwards. It's actually, it's kind of cool to watch those two work together. I've had the opportunity to get the front row seat to that, and one guy will say something, he's like, why didn't I think of that? Or, wow, you did it that way. That's that, why would you do it that way? We did it this way. And they kind of go at each other too, which is kind of fun and interesting. Like I said, that front row seat to that's it's been pretty fun to watch. So,
yeah.
That's good.
I don't have it on my question sheet here, but I was just wondering, a lot of times these new ball launches, I was talking to some ball reps. Are you a part of the team that comes up with the logos and the names of the balls? Are you on that group?
I think everyone at our team at Brunswick Bowling Products is involved with that. Absolutely. Any new ideas, any outside ideas, I've certainly had some along the way that have come to reality, and probably more than not don't. I mean, not everyone can agree on what you come up with and where it comes from. You can't take it personally. You just keep on throwing everything that you could possibly think of and at it, and even it starts a conversation sometimes of, oh wow, yeah, that instead of doing it this way, let's do it that way, or things like that. We have a lot of brainstorming meetings that you just sit in a room and you write stuff on the whiteboard and you start erasing things off that you absolutely know you can't do, and the things that you think that you can, you try and make them become a reality. That's really what our entire team does. So,
wow,
that was kind of the reason that you guys all had to move to Muskegon, though, right? Or you moved to Muskegon so that you guys could actually have a little bit more say in it.
Yeah, I think having the ownership in the product helps you go sell it too. I mean, it's one of those things. If you can see it from the ground up, as it's being built, you take a lot more ownership in that product. That's probably the main reason for having people in. But being able to have people in the office when you're going through testing, we can have all of our guys test. We can be there for the test and not just have a marketing team write something on a piece of paper and send it to you and say, all right, go sell this product, because that's happened in our industry, more than anybody even knows. So, yeah.
A lot.
A lot of people ask me, before you have a new ball launch, how many times do you have guys come up there, your tour staff guys come up and then throw shots? How long is that? A couple of days? How much do you test the ball when you're in the you in the facility there?
It really depends on how many changes are made, Coach. And there can be just multiple numbers of them, anywhere from, we make a test ball, we throw it, we go, okay, that's pretty close to reaction, but we need to tweak this or that. You make more test balls, and it goes through that process. Then once you get test balls made, you go into a lower production run number, and then you get those in, and that's coming from the line. You go, oh, that color's a little bit off. We need to redo this or that, and everything. So it's usually a approximately 10-month process from a concept to, getting a ball to the market. It's a lot longer what most people think that it is. So.
Wow.
Nice. Well, at the bottom,
I didn't know. So,
I was going to say, because there's a couple comments that have come in, and most of them are like familiar type comments. Like this one's for, if I can get it up there, not listening to me. Daryl says hi, and former neighbor for you, and hopeful all is well for you.
Yeah, things are great. Hoping the same for you guys. I think they're getting ready to move to Florida, right?
Yeah, as I say, he's retiring soon.
Yeah, retiring soon. That's awesome. I look forward to that day. Still a ways off, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, at the bottom of the screen, I was going to kind of save this. I told Coach earlier I was going to save this till the end of it. But at the bottom of the screen, since we were talking about some bowling balls, you guys had some stuff released from the Columbia brand. At the bottom there, if you guys want to, anybody that is, checking into the site, wants to head over to our page, our website for Bowlers Mart, and click on the Beast and see which color you like. They've got a lot of really new colors that are really cool, 4 different colors that are decent. So want to make sure people check that out.
Yeah, great performance for a great price right there. I mean, those
holy cow. I drilled one up last year, one of the last blue and silver that was released from one of the last branding from it, and that performance line is awesome. It's definitely worth it.
Yep, July 2nd is the URD for those. So
sweet.
We're coming up on that quick, couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, it's super fast. It's just around the corner. So,
yeah, that's great.
Coach, you can probably lead in with another question.
Yeah, Ron, I know there's been a lot of changes with you and moving from Rockford up to your new location up there. Can you give us a little information? I know you had such a busy schedule over the years. You have a new position, right?
Yeah, 2017, the end of 2017, had the opportunity to become the North American sales manager, which I already was, but I was also being a product specialist at the same time. So I always looked at it as kind of a player manager thing. I was managing the rest of the sales guys, but also being one, and taking that. But moving here gave me the opportunity to work a little bit more from the office, be a little more involved in those decisions that we were just talking about, Andrew, with, the ball naming and Coach also, some of those things, just, a little less travel, in that, which you kind of miss a little bit of that, but at the same time you don't. I mean, and if anybody's ever been out on the road traveling like what I did, it's definitely become a little different thing. And that was one of the things that Brian Graham really kept on telling me. He goes, Ron, your life will be different, in a better way, but it will take some getting used to, because you do get so used to, a lifestyle, of being in a hotel room 150 nights or more per year, and that, when you're home all the time, it can change things too. So, but it's been really, really good. It really has. Again, being more involved in all the processes, from some of the marketing things and bringing those things to reality, marketing, testing, colors, names, everything that's involved, logos. I mean, there's just so many things that are involved in making of a bowling ball, and even getting into the bag, shoes, accessories, and being a part of that, and colors and designs and styles, and and all of that type of thing. It's definitely a different world, but in a really, really good way too. It's been pretty good, and I still have the opportunity to go travel. When pretty much when I want, except for right now. when the government tells us we can't travel or we shouldn't travel, then we heed their warnings and do that. But it's been really, really good. Putting together the best team I possibly could, as far as the sales force goes, and we really do feel like we have the best sales force, that's out there. Go out there and build some relationships, make some friends, and make sure that the businesses are taken care of like they need to be, from our standpoint.
Wow, you said North America. That's more than the U.S. That's more than just our country when you said North America?
Yeah, it is. I actually have Canada myself, so I said I
wow.
was a player manager and don't have it, but I do actually manage Canada also, which is a pretty big geographical area. But bowling, 10-pin bowling in Canada is it's not near as big as it is in the United States. When that I don't even know the number of sanctioned bowlers now, but I can tell you it is a very low percentage compared to. I think there might be more sanctioned bowlers in the state of Michigan than there are in all of Canada. I mean, that will give you some perspective. Even though it's that big geographically, they have a lot of candle pin bowling, duck pin bowling, and 10-pin bowling, so it gets spread out pretty wide, pretty quick. So
you mentioned candle pin and duck pin. That brings up a good point. I grew up in my first days of bowling. I bowled duck pins, which tells you how ancient I am. Where are those balls manufactured? Right? Duck pin and candle. How do they make those balls? Where do they come from?
I believe it's. I want to say, I could be wrong here too, Richard, because it could have changed. I want to say it's in New York. It used to be a company called Paramount. I might be wrong there, but it's something like that that makes those.
Wow. I just remember those days whenever I was just firing them down the lane just as fast as I could when I was 9 years old, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we actually have a string pin, duck pin mini lane at the office. It's right behind my office there here in Muskegon. And that we can go and play. It's a really cool thing. It's small enough I could put one in my basement. I just got to figure out how to talk my wife into spending the money to get one.
That'd be cool.
Awesome.
Well, I just want to get through one other thing here. Well, that's pretty cool because, what are some of your favorite places? You've been all over the world, traveled the world more than North America. If you had to look around your career, I always like to ask our guests that travel a lot, tour players and ball reps and guys like yourself, what's one of your favorite or some of your favorite places to travel in the world? I know I went to Abu Dhabi and some really cool places in my life. Sweden was really nice. So what's some of the cool places you've been?
Well, like you said, gosh, over the years, 17 years of traveling, my favorite places, I don't even know if I can narrow it down. I mean, I probably can get myself in trouble and tell you the favorite people in some favorite places. Given that, but no, if I had to think, I mean, before I actually worked for Brunswick Bowling Products, I actually did some work for the Brunswick Bowling Corporation when I was working for the women's tour. We usually had, back then we had 26, 28, 30 tournaments a year that I was traveling with the ladies tour, so I had 20-ish weeks, where I, was kind of a downtime, and I actually started doing some seminars. I did some for Brunswick Bowling, Brunswick Corporation. Went to Germany and helped with a tournament that I believe is still going, called the Golden Pen tournament over in Frankfurt, Germany. That was I went with Ray Edwards and Art McKee back then. They were tour reps, and I was running the ladies tour truck.
Right.
And we laid out a boatload of bowling balls. That was Phantom time when the original Phantom came out, and we were laying those out and drilling them for the tournament players then. And that was a pretty cool experience. And that, quite honestly, you ask me places I really like to go and favorite places to travel. When I travel for work, it's not a vacation. It's in and out of bowling centers and in and out of hotels and to and from a hotel to a bowling center. I still, to this day, I work for the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour, and I've worked for Brunswick now for 20 years, and I still have not seen one of the monuments in Washington, D.C., and I've been to Washington, D.C.
Oh, man.
Probably 10 times. I mean, over my entire life, I've probably been there 10 times and still have not gone and seen one of the monuments. It's just when I'm out there and I'm working, and I just don't make time to go and play. So that's who I am. That's what I've done. So, but again, probably more the people I would remember, all over the place. I mean, our entire country. I've been in all 50 states multiple times.
Wow.
Fortunate enough to be able to do that but more in and out of bowling centers and seeing bowling grow and change from a lot of different perspectives, from wood lanes to synthetic lanes, from no automatic scoring to scoring, automatic scoring, and watching some of the technology that way is actually pretty cool to see, and see it from old to new, right? So
Right. Wow, I don't hear too much about bowling in the state of South Dakota or Montana. That's pretty cool that you've been to every state in the country. Wow.
yeah, I mean, I've been on vacation to South Dakota and visited with some really good friends from both sides, Sioux Falls and from out by Mount Rushmore and all stuff on the other side of the state, and that just and some really good friends, and vacation there because of the friends that I've met because of bowling, but try not to work when you're there. So.
Well, there you go. You did take a break and saw Mount Rushmore. That's just pretty cool. You didn't stay in a bowling center the whole
Black
time.
Hills is a gorgeous place. It's an awesome area, and certainly would encourage anybody to go that way. Las Vegas, obviously, been there to play, but not usually when we're there to work. There's not a lot of time to play. We used to sponsor all the megabuck tournaments out there and spent. I think there was one year that I was pretty close to 80 room nights in Las Vegas when we sponsored 2 mini eliminators, had Bowl Expo, had a big coaching conference, plus prep time for things, and USBC or something was there, and and that. So it ended up being out there quite a bit for setups and teardowns and the actual events. But
wasn't it really cool in the day of the high roller and the showboat? Can you figure any days were as good as those days whenever that
was so much fun, and I have so many memories and so many friends and so many different things that way that I don't know that we can ever get back to that. It sure would be nice though, wouldn't it? Man, that was a good time.
I can't imagine. I can't remember all the stories that senior and junior talked about, Tom Kelly and them. Man, you'd go in there and it'd be story time about all the things that kind of happened with back in the day and that, that time frame when things were kind of going on. It was always fun.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, you talk about story time, and one of the last, I don't remember which year it was, one of the last mini eliminators that we sponsored at Brunswick. We actually had Johnny Petraglia, working out there with us. He was on what we called our practice range, and Larry Lickstein showed up, and getting those two together, was, you want to talk about story time, I mean, just history. You want the history of bowling right there. It was pretty good, pretty fun.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you need one more guy in the mix. Would be the Phantom with Linning. That would be great.
Yeah, I've had some pretty cool opportunities for stories. I mean, you get to jump in a car and ride with Johnny Petraglia or Carmen Salvino or, guys like that. I mean, you can get an awful lot of knowledge and an awful lot of history, pretty quickly. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Carmen would always tell us, Carmen was like, "Oh, you little puppies." You know how he always was. He was.
Yeah.
Carmen was going
absolutely.
to dominate the conversation. He was the best there is. Back on the showboat too, and I want to bear on this, but I was always so amazed at how much the guys could make on the sweepers. You remember that, the 2-game sweepers? Those were like phenomenal amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, we paid $10,000, I think, for first place in a sweeper every night back in the early 2000s, even. And it was more than that when the high roller tournaments and everything first started.
Wasn't there some 2-game sweepers?
Yeah.
So if you're in a 2-game sweeper, what do you have to have for the 2 games to even get close to cashing your win? What's the total for those 2 games? If you got 240 in the first game, you're out of it, I think.
Yeah, it was over 500. Absolutely over 500 for 2 games. Yeah, I mean, I remember 525.
I never got to bowl it, but I mean, do you guys, remembering back in the times when you actually saw, were they easier? I mean, do you feel like they were just easier to bowl on? Is that why the score was so? I mean, obviously, there's probably good players that played it, But I mean, were there?
I don't think any easier. No, I really don't. I mean, they usually try to put a little bit more of a not challenging, but certainly not just dead walled. Because if you dead wall them, for a lot of the guys that bowl that type of a tournament, the rev rates were just so high. It would do exactly like what it does today. You just burn them up, and then they can't score. So
yeah, I kind of thought I'd ask that question for those that might be paying attention, because you hear that number and you're like, oh, they had to be super easy. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
It's the same as today. It's been that way for in my very whatever opinion. It's way too easy. I'd rather see them way more challenging than what they are today. But everybody's different. I definitely come from the old school. I'd rather have them tough and long formats. I think that's how they should be. It brings out. It really shows the skill of the player.
Yeah, cream of the crop gets up there pretty quickly, I would think.
Yeah.
I like to see the grind out. So some of the kids today, here in Rockford, they're not really used to bowling on a lot of tough patterns, and we try to get these kids a little bit more acclimated before they go to junior gold. And unfortunately, they didn't have it this year, but a lot of kids have been putting in a lot of time. So that was a real disappointment to see these kids when they had a lot of year grade equipment to be able to ready to go out there and compete at junior gold. But yeah, it's disappointing for a lot of these kids that didn't get to go.
Yeah, I remember the days very well when I first started, when I was 18 years old, started in scratch leagues and everything. And I was just everything I could do to get to 600 series for a night was, if you had 600, it was a big night.
Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, it's insane now. If you don't, have 750, people get mad when they have 750.
That's true.
They just average 250 for a night, and I should have had, whatever. And that's frustrating to me just from where I came from. But I get it too at the same time. I do understand. I mean, proprietors want happy customers and happy drinkers and eaters and all that fun stuff in their center. So I get it.
Yeah, being from Rockford, here the guy that averaged 240, 245, he didn't shoot 750 every week. He was pretty upset, and that's Mr. Mike Dahl.
Yeah. So I give him crap all the time. I'm like, so 250 is bad. I just got done saying it a couple minutes ago and everything. I used to give him garbage about that all the time. I'm like, so 250 is bad now? I don't understand.
Yeah. I expect winning money is definite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Losing money when you don't catch 250.
I'm really excited for Mike. We're off topic just a little bit, ask you some questions in a minute, but he left us with Bowler's Mart with many years. He's a very, very good friend, and he's been pretty happy with you guys since he made the move, right? He's a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done a great job for me. You can certainly rely on him to get it done. And, I'm certainly not a micromanager. I'm going to send them on their way and just ask them to report back with what they find. And we're going to take that information and utilize it to the best of our ability and continue to make the best products in the world that we, are putting out there right now. And he's an integral part of that. He's been really, really good. So.
Yeah, we had a seminar not too long ago, AJ. I think went to Chicago with some of the new drilling technology, and Mike did a great job.
Yeah, he did great. He does a fantastic job, and the knowledge that he has because of the people that he has been around in the years too helps, especially in this area. I would think, any of the Illinois areas, seems like a lot of people really know him from a heart to heart, or even if it's on the lanes of whatever kind, tournament, league, whatever the case may be. It's been a definite help for the company for sure. I would think, from my aspect of it, at least looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got background in a lot of different directions that really can help him to do. That's one of the reasons we wanted him. He's a great bowler. He understands that that part of the game. He's drilled balls for a long time, and he understands it very well. And that when you can mix those things together, it's a really good. His personality is easy to get along with, and things like that. And we have to have, some of those or all of those traits in order to hire somebody to get out there and do, the job that's called on.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
And if you're one of the married guys and has a girlfriend, they got to be on the understanding train too.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, Richard. That was part of the retraining of me, and as I started to live in my house, like 300 days a year instead of 150, and that. No, we've been great. I'm just kidding. My wife, you guys, AJ, I know you've met her. I don't know if you ever have coached in that, but
yeah, she's great.
And couldn't do anything without her.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you think about lifestyle of a bowler or even anybody in the industry. You almost have to, if you are involved with somebody, they have to understand bowling or at least understand your passion for that. I think in general, I think that makes it all the more better along the way for it to be understood.
Absolutely.
So, you guys, not a little off topic, real quick. You guys at one point had some listings for job opportunities, just for those people. If you guys are still looking, if it's still available, I want to throw that out there for anybody that's actually going to be looking into it. Are you guys still looking for certain people to be hiring on, or you guys feel like you've met your quota at some point with this COVID thing?
Well, we were, and then the world stopped, and that. And right now, I would definitely tell you that everything is on a holding pattern on any position, so there won't be anything posted. You won't see anything right now. Just what's going on in the world. The bowling industry is unfortunately going to be one of the last things that comes back. It is a social event that makes people gather or ask people to gather, and things like that. It goes against every principle that we're trying to, knock this thing down with, and we need to be a part of that also, and that certainly would love to see every bowling center unlock its doors and open up and go at 100%, but that's just not reality right now, right? So, with that, it's just not a place where you should be. We just can't grow at this point in time. I would say that we probably will be again. I can tell anyone, if you're looking, just keep an eye on ZipRecruiter, search Muskegon, Michigan. It will pop up, if there are any openings and things like that. We use ZipRecruiter.com, search Muskegon again. And if there are any positions, that's where they would pop up. But nothing right now, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast that we're dealing with in the world, right?
No reason I thought that I would throw that out, because I'm sure there are other people.
No, I appreciate it. With good talent, we certainly want good talent when we are looking. So.
Yeah, I really do pray. I pray for the industry, for the bowling centers and the proprietors who've been in business, like in Rockford. Mr. Summers had maybe Don Carter and Cherry Ball in the 1950s or 60s, and you see these proprietors around the country that are trying to reopen and almost lost their bowling centers, and just hopefully they can cover their expenses and salary and keep these employees who've been there forever, right, to hopefully make their payments.
Yeah, absolutely. John was an integral part of my career. Like I said, I worked for him, Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour, back in the late 80s and early 90s. And, in that, some good news that we are hearing. MUBIG is a multi-unit, larger center group that John Summers actually a part of and everything. And I know our CEO, Corey Dykstra, spoke with the MUBIG group just a couple of days ago. And in the states that are opening, there's actually part of that group is certainly seeing success with wait lists and things like that, for open play, and that's always a great thing to hear, as we start to come out of it. They're at 25% with a wait list, but it's definitely a good start. There are more people wanting to get in than they're allowing to get in, in that. So hopefully that demand stays there, and we can slowly but surely do it the right way, get things opened up and get businesses going. So.
Yeah, we've got to have a creative format for our youth adult league at Carter. We have 40 teams of youth adult, and we're going to have to figure out a format to see how we can get everybody in and out in a decent amount of time. We start at 6:30, so we may have to have 2 shifts. So it's going to have to be really creative, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of places actually that it used to be a Tuesday league, and they just ask anybody in that Tuesday league, can any of you come on Wednesday? And somewhere around half of them said that they could come. When it was a 50% capacity thing. So that one worked out well. So they're still bowling against each other. They're just bowling on a different lane, at a different time, and they're putting their scores against each other, but they're getting creative with it, and it works. It's fine. It's not quite the same competition, but at least they're getting back into it and getting things going. So you said, Coach, you get creative, it'll work.
Yeah, we hear sometimes you have like 1 team prepare, or sometimes 2 teams prepare, and it's going to be the lanes break down, so people are complaining. But I don't care if you're on the pair of bowling. That's all I care about.
Yeah. I've heard matches happening. One team's on lane 1, the team that they're playing against is on lane 3 because they have that much of a separation that they have to do, according to the rules that they're given, in that. But no one's really complained. Everybody, the guy that I talked to about that, he said it wasn't that bad. We were bowling. My team was on lane 1, and the other team we were bowling was on lane 3. We could still see their scores. They could see ours, and away we went. So,
well, the only thing about that is some lanes are like, I hate lane 1, but that's not going to matter anymore.
yeah,
So,
yeah. If you want to bowl, you're going to figure out how to like lane 1, right?
Yep, no
right,
doubt.
you gotta don't worry about topography. You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But talk about, how do you feel, Ron, about what's going on with the state of the industry and bowling in general and things like that, as far as, what's going on, and what do you think about what we're doing now? What's coming up?
Well, what's going on? Obviously, we're starting to see opening up, which is pretty exciting. It's still sad that we're not further along than where we are, but again, I understand to a certain extent. I said it before, better safe than sorry, maybe. And things like that. It's very exciting to hear about the ones that are reopening, having pretty good success. I think that bowling is one of the only things that where people will be able to and will go to, as things do start to open up, because people are going to be a little more afraid to travel than just to go out to the local bowling center, and things like that. So there will be some incremental money there that they aren't spending on let's call it a vacation or a trip away, but they still want entertainment. And as long as the bowling centers do the right thing, and it certainly feels like all of them are, and that for safety of the customer, it's going to be a really safe, good place to get your entertainment, and that. So I think that in the short term, I think that, it's really, really bright. And as I said, bowling will come back, 100%. It's a, how long it takes is just up to, some of the governments, city, local, state governments, as to how long it's going to take. But other than that, I think bowling will be fine. And bowling was in such a great place right before all this happened. I mentioned the momentum. It wasn't just Brunswick Bowling Products. I mean, bowling had a pretty good, piece of momentum going there. And I think it'll be back. It'll come back. And, it's just a matter of the timing that it takes for that to happen. And that's still a pretty fluid situation, depending on the state that you're in, right? I mean, you and me are both in states that are a little slower getting back to this than some of the others, but it's kind of fun to sit back and watch them too and see if something, does happen too. We can say they're wrong until, or say they're right or wrong until we see actually what happens. So.
Yeah, you're mentioning people that really want to get back out on the lanes, and a lot of the juniors, and a lot of my kids and students, and AJ too, ball drilling and coaching, a lot of them here in Rockford are just making that half-hour drive up to Wisconsin because they open quicker than we did.
Right.
And I've been getting some reports as to how sore they are, and their grips doesn't fit, and their thumbs are in trouble. So AJ's got a lot going on. As soon as they get back, I had one of my girls, she's 17 years old, and she said she got sore. I said, how can that happen? So she had to, do some of her skill drills to get back in shape. But they're having a good time just being able to get out there and throw some balls and exercise.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I do believe that the pro shop industry is going to have a little bit of work to do here as we come out of this. USBC rule with the extra holes is pretty much going to be in effect once everything gets going. I mean, so as pro shops are opening, it's a good opportunity for any bowler that's out there to get in there, get any extra holes that they have plugged if they want to continue using that product, or get some new product and that doesn't have those extra holes, those type things. Refit, because if you haven't bowled, trust me, the hole sizes are going to be different. The pitches could be different. I've seen a lot of people losing a lot of weight during this. Unfortunately, some of us have gained a little weight during this, depending on what you're doing. You do a few too many trips to the refrigerator, and things, but your body changes when you aren't doing something that it's used to doing. And certainly at least getting an analysis on your grip, is a very smart thing to do as you're getting back into this. And it is amazing, Coach, to your point, with the young lady you talked about, bowling is a physical game. And if you're out there and you're doing it at any kind of a level, even league level, you're going to feel your muscles a little bit if you haven't been using those same muscles, because you don't use some of those muscles for anything but bowling, right? So it's interesting, to hear and see some of the stories as they come out, but some opportunity for the bowling industry there also.
Absolutely. I think, AJ, whenever we come back, AJ, you and I are going to be at the foul line doing one-step drills for an hour before we make a full shot.
I was just going to say that too, Coach. You're going to be pounding those one-step drills, aren't you?
Yeah, my my wife and I are going to the Lucy if they still have it, which it sounds like they still are, and we're going to bowl that. And that was our discussion, was the 26th. You know, once it opens up to go back to be able to bowl. I'm like, it's practice time. I'll do whatever you want me to do, because I know how she is with practice regimens. And she goes, her first word out of her mouth was spares, and I said, I got no problem with that. And I said, can we start by doing one steps? So I don't hurt myself.
Yeah. Stretching, one steps, you know, all those things that just back to the basics, really, as you're coming back to it. Don't just block and tackling, whatever you want to call it, you know, make sure you're, you know, get back to the very basic things as you're getting back into it, and make sure you're doing the right things for your body and for your game. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I know, AJ, you're probably going to be doing a lot of slug changes and finger grips as far as coming back. Like Ron said, it's going to be a big deal.
Well, yeah, we're also missing that time period when kids probably would have tried to start coming in anyway, because it's getting closer to gearing up for getting back to fall season for some of them too. And I already have a couple of people that have contacted us about, well, I'm pretty sure that our spans aren't fitting very anymore, and we need to get it checked out. Grips definitely don't fit. We've had to cut some little parts out of them to actually get their fingers in them to even attempt to throw them. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably time to come in. Yeah.
Oh, they don't have a
you'll
grip
see a lot of that.
Yeah. They don't have a grip change if they're 13 years old, right? They're not growing at 12, 13 years old, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Ron, I want to know, how do you feel, Ronnie, about what's I always want to catch you into what the new cool stuff going on with our industry is. What do you think about what's going on with the PBA Tour and with Fox, and what's happening with the unfortunate thing we had with the ladies tour? But what do you think about the men's tour right now? It's in pretty good shape, real good shape.
Yeah, it's the Fox thing has certainly been really, really exciting. I mean, anywhere you go out in the public, you know, any sports bar you go in, if they have any one of the Fox, you know, sports nets on, you know, almost every night you could see bowling on a TV somewhere, which is really, really cool and really exciting. Even if it's a replay, people still tie into it if they are a bowler, you know, and things like that. So I do think that it's pretty exciting. You know, unfortunately, we got a little hitch here in the step of it, right? You know, with the COVID thing, but just last Saturday night we got a little taste of it again, and it looks like we got a few more coming up, which is really exciting, and I do think it's brought a little bit of a revival, you know, to pro bowling, you know, which it was much needed too. It really was. I mean, it was certainly, it needed a change. I think it's been a really good change, you know, to go, you know, where they're going here with this agreement with Fox. So.
Yeah, so do I. You know, we had AJ and I were gearing up for Rockford to have the ladies tour stop. Mr. Summers had scheduled it, and we were hoping to have with Tony Hall a decent pro-am, right, AJ? And that just passed us by. I think, was it last week or so?
Yeah, the 6th, I think, is when it was actually scheduled.
Yeah, it was supposed to be last weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously now over the last so many days, they've canceled the tour entirely, which is a bummer. But I mean, I understand, and this kind of is what it is, you know. And
yeah, they'll bounce back. I truly believe they'll bounce back, you know, from this. People understand that the safety is most important, you know, and all of these things. And there's a lot more behind the scenes that people realize. Obviously, I've been involved in that. We talked about that earlier, and I'm sure, you know, some of that has changed. But the behind the scenes deal to run, you know, to put together and run those events, you guys were living through it, you know, trying to get a big pro-am set up and those type things. And, you know, but just the agreements and the sponsorships and the TVs and, you know, deals and the, you know, how it's going to be done, if it's going to be streamed or live or taped. And, you know, there is a lot of behind the scenes things that happen. And that's the reason why USBC, I believe, decided to cancel. I mean, it's a big monetary risk also if you can't make it happen, and, you know, in that, and then you just don't know when travel is going to be able to happen. It's hard to plan. The bowlers have to be able to plan about a month out, you know, in order to be able to attend an event, you know, and things like that. And as you start looking at the timing of this, there were summer events in the past, and the summer's going to be done before everything's close to open in the bowling industry. So that's, you start knocking all of those things around. That's where the decision likely was made, and that's purely speculation. But I bet you I'm not.
Absolutely. You know, what's exciting, we talk about the tours. I really can't wait to hear and see what's going to happen with the senior tour with all of the stars that are coming out. They are really loading up. So the guys that are currently on senior tour, they better maybe be ready to go, because you got a lot. You know, I don't even know how I can name them all.
Yeah, there's some pretty big names that are getting ready to come out. You're correct there. It's funny. We had this conversation 4 or 5 years ago. It was kind of the same. We had a pretty big, run of pretty big names coming out too, in that. So it just seems like that, you go through these little cycles of where the PBA 50 gets a pretty good, insertion of some youth, right? Coming back in there, if that's what you want to call it. Those guys that are 50 can still play, and
Yeah.
it's fun to watch too. So
Yeah, I was trying to go through the list here. I know I worked a lot over the years down at Kegel with, I guess the newest ones are Barnes, Jason Couch. Who else? There's a bunch of them.
yeah, Barnes and Couch are obviously the big two that I can remember.
Hess is coming, I think, isn't he? Tom Hess old enough
Tom
now?
Hess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, and there's more than that. I'm just drawing a blank. I could try and bring it up on my computer, but I'm on my computer, and if I'm not that tech savvy, where I might lose you guys, so I'm just gonna let this go. We'll let people actually Google it themselves, because it'll come up.
Yeah. This itself has been bringing me all kinds of differences. I'm the same way. Technology. I talk to Cliff all the time, and Cliff is like, "You and technology," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then it took us forever to do this, and now that we're doing it, it's pretty neat that we can do it. So it's nice to be able to chat with you and chat with people that are able to talk to us about the industry.
Hey, I mean, right now, this is going to become the new natural, right? I've learned how to do that, also, and never would have dreamt, looking at it, you're using StreamYard. We've used at Brunswick, we have Microsoft Teams, and that, which is the same type of a thing. I've used Zoom an awful lot, and obviously you'd have FaceTime for one-on-one things with pretty much anybody has, Facebook, where you could FaceTime someone too. So it will become part of our daily habit, won't it? It's interesting.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sure, like you said, with all of your sales meetings and folks stretched out all over the place. I like to get off. We always like to ask our guests, Ron, you're always on the road and you're the plan and you're busy, but when you have time, what are some of your favorite hobbies? What do you like to do when you're not working all the time?
I got quite a few of them now compared to what I used to. I used to be go home and sleep when I wasn't traveling, with that. So it's actually funny. I still remember, I'd be on the road, for whatever, Monday through Friday, get home Friday evening, and the first thing that Kathy would want to do is, "Hey, let's go out to eat." And I'd be like, "Ugh, I just went out to eat 5 nights in a row," and that. But we made it through it and doing all that. But it's a little bit different now it's actually 3 years now, so it's not that new. I mean, we moved here in 2017. We're coming up on 3 years of, being in a little bit of a different spot, being in the office every day, going in and out of the office, which right now you guys are looking at the background of my office. This is where I've been sitting for the last 3 months because of COVID, and that it's in our dining room, actually. In that, at our house in Illinois, I actually had an office in my basement. AJ, you've seen it. You saw it before, right? I think you were there. I had a pretty nice office there when I was traveling and working out of the house. But now there really isn't a whole lot, of that here. But I used to play some golf when I was traveling a lot. It seemed like it was a decent thing that kind of fit in. Haven't played as much as I thought that I would after I moved. There's some beautiful golf courses around here, and I just haven't taken the opportunity, but really got into biking quite a bit. My wife and I ride bikes a lot. I've probably ridden in 2020, I've probably ridden 300 miles already. I'm going to guess, somewhere in that neighborhood on the bike. We do a lot of hiking, some great trails around here. We have a couple of kayaks that we have not used this year that we were just talking about this morning, maybe trying to get out this weekend, and go on a couple of different things there. There's lakes and water all over the place around here. It's beautiful right now at this time of the year. I've taken up some woodworking, which is interesting. Not very good at it yet, but I love doing it. And I have a little shop in the garage. and that. So mostly outdoor things, right? When I name all those things, I like being outdoors, and anything that's outdoors, I would I'll venture into. So.
Wow.
Coach,
Yeah, AJ, I don't know, AJ, what we've been doing. I need to get more outdoors too, instead of being cooped up all the time, sitting around, not doing anything, but need to read. But I do need to get out and walk more. Probably be better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, Coach, it's enjoy the outdoors. It's good for you. It's something actually you can do during COVID without pretty much getting in trouble in Michigan. I don't know what your rules were there in Illinois, but it was one of the things that our governor actually encouraged was get out and use the trails, use the all the things available that way. So no boating though for a while. They cut that away from us, but.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think we're pretty much in the same boat without trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But I think the boats we're actually able to get on the boats, I think, because I think I've seen a couple of friends like Dave Buzzo. I think he's showed some pictures of being on his boat doing some stuff with that and fishing, but I think maybe he's done a lot more land stuff. So I don't know. It might be the same thing here, almost the same stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it feels like they're pretty close.
We're real close.
Yeah.
We usually closer to the end of our questioning, Coach has I think one more question here. We usually bring in a brought to you by Bowler's Mart section of this, and we have this Free Ball Friday that we like to do on the website. So anybody that is paying attention wants to head over and enter into that to get a free ball. I think this week's is the Track Proof, which is a fantastic ball.
Wow, that ball is unbelievably good, and it did not get its due. We're going to try and figure out something to make sure it does. It literally was its URD was I think the 19th, and everything shut down on the 17th.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it went. So it didn't even get a chance. And that ball is. Don't miss this ball. It is phenomenal. Every person we saw test it loved it. It didn't matter what style, what hand they threw it with, what pattern they were on, what surface they were on. It's just a really, really good, pretty strong benchmark, type of a ball. And it looks pretty good. So
absolutely. So head over and get yourself into that, and we do that I think weekly, and a lot of balls are put up there by choice too. Like we do some sort of a Facebook where you can choose. You can either love it or like it, and out of the two, whichever one gets best picked out. It says something a lot for the proof. I'm not sure what ball it was up against, but for it to win out shows how good it is. So head over and get yourself into that to try and get yourself a free ball. It's definitely one to win for sure. So, Coach, if you want to head out to your next question there.
Yeah, we'll finish up, Ron. All of our guests that might have been around a little bit, like you and I, maybe not the young kids that would know this question. Obviously, they wouldn't. But what were some of your favorite PBA bowlers back in the 80s and 90s? And we were watching Bo Burton and Schenkel and all the days. And every time on Saturday, you're like me, ABC Sports. I couldn't wait to get there and see Earl and all the guys. Who were some of your heroes and stars? I always like to hear that.
Yeah, I would have to probably go like a lot of guys, that used to watch, bowling on Saturday afternoon. Mark Roth, he's become a really good personal friend over the years because of my experience, which is kind of cool, in that. But and I loved watching Marshall Holman bowl, Mark Roth, Marshall Holman. I like watching Earl. My dad really liked Earl. My dad was left-handed, in that. So. Anytime he was on, it kind of was a special moment, and things like that. So probably those are three pretty big, standby guys there that you really can't go wrong with. But honestly, they really were. I mean, if they were on, it was a little bit different than if anybody else was on, and certainly those would be the guys I would be rooting for if they were on. So.
Well, how's Mark doing? Is his health okay? You said you're buddies with him now, getting around him
Yeah,
more?
he's a little up and down. Yeah, let's say some prayers for him. In that I think he's as good as he can be right now. He's certainly been through some pretty rough stretches with some strokes and and things like that. Thankfully, minor enough not to really knock him out. In that, but still, it can't be easy going through what he's gone through. I know Denise has done a great job with him, and in that, and in that. But yeah, he's some pretty good times over the years with that guy. I can tell you that. So
Yeah, I bet. It's like
Right.
being around Johnny Petraglia all the time too. Like I know the times that we've ever been around or met him and been his a presence of some kind. Man, the stories that guy has is just unbelievable.
yeah, probably the best, one of the best storytellers that's out there for sure. I mentioned Carmen, Johnny.
Love listening.
If you've ever had the opportunity to sit with Dave Davis or Dave Sutar, Judy also, in that. Yeah, there's some stories there for sure when you start talking about that group. Litchie, we mentioned, in that he's got some PBA, obviously bowling experience, and also just the truck and all the different things that have happened there. So
It must be the thing about being great storytellers. You must have to be left-handed bowlers. So
yeah,
That's so funny. So
yeah.
true.
Well, Ron, we really
Well,
appreciate you coming on.
you can add Mo Pinnell to that too, Coach.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Lucky.
yeah. You know what? I never saw my great friend Mo throw a bowling ball, even down at Kegel in the old days of Sebring. I think he might have thrown a couple of shots, but he didn't have any shoes on. But I do remember seeing one shot, maybe two.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody just posted a newspaper clipping, some scores that he had shot. He was younger and everything. He didn't mess around. He could
No.
play.
Oh
Heck
yeah.
You would think
Yeah.
with that knowledge of how much knowledge he had about changing the surface and doing some of the things that he does with bowling balls, and then obviously the Mo Rich days and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's very intelligent. You would think that he'd be able to bowl too on top of it just a little bit, considering what he knows.
Yeah. You know what? One more left-handed thing. We can keep on going, right? I mean, you guys probably know all these guys. Hank Boomershine,
Oh yeah.
lefty.
Left-handed?
Yep. Phil
Yeah.
Cardinelli. Speaking of radical.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's
Ray
so
Edwards
fun.
that designs all of our bowling balls, or used to, and working with Randy Tightloff. He's got some stories that are out there and left-handed. All those guys can tell a story too, right?
Yeah,
I'm
they
missing
really.
somebody too, and I apologize. I don't even know who I'm missing, but there's a lot. So
Junior,
Wow.
Tom Kelly Jr.
yeah,
His dad's actually writes left-handed, bowls right-handed.
yeah.
Writes left-handed, bowls right-handed. So he's also in that same category. But that's too funny. A lot of lefties.
Yeah, you may not know much about this one guy, but he's a great guy. One of the best stylists and bowlers ever was Richie Wolf. He could tell some great stories too, but what a great game he had, Ron. You know about him.
Absolutely. I actually bowled at Park Lanes in Loves Park with Richie, I believe. I can't remember when it was. It was a long time ago, though.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's a super guy. Well, I think we're about running out of our time here, AJ. Ron, we really do appreciate you coming on and being with us today. Great stuff. You're such a great guy for our bowling industry, and we really appreciate you coming on with us.
I really appreciate you guys having me, guys. It's good luck in getting out of this thing here to Bowlers Mart and everybody around the entire bowling community. We're in this together. We'll work together. If you guys need anything from us, as always, let me know. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do.
We'll do. We're ready to move your product line, buddy. We really want to.
Yeah, no doubt.
Appreciate it.
So certainly do appreciate it. And, definitely pushing as much of the product that didn't quite get done, just things that haven't quite been released as well. So lots of that to do, but we'll do it as a family all together. So it's good.
Yep, we're in it with you. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, talk to you guys soon.
Yep.
Thanks.
See ya. That was awesome.
I am tired just thinking about what he does and travels. I can't imagine that many miles and that many hotels. I've been around a little bit, but that's a lot.
It's he used to talk about the ability to get to certain places sometimes because they do have to travel quite a bit, and you see it once you hear the stories like that, where you're like, man, he got to see and travel so much. You know, it makes more sense when, you know, if you're that guy that's a pro shop guy that expects your guy to come around and talk to you, man, it's kind of definitely become a thing in the past. Like, it's more of a, you're going to get a phone call to see how things are going, because there's no chance you can get everywhere anymore, the way things are and scheduled out and stuff like that anyway. All the brands, I don't care who you are, there's always going to be that issue. I think in general, you're going to see a lot more phone calls with people. But
Right.
yeah, crazy. Well, today was pretty good, Coach. That was fun.
Okay.
I like talking to Ron. Ron's a good guy.
Super guy.
Yep.
It was a good time.
Yep. We were able to reschedule Liz, so Liz will be back with us next week here. We are going to go at a different time schedule. It's going to be, it was kind of what worked better for her. And we're going to go on a different day and a different time. So next week, instead of Tuesday, we're going to do Monday. And instead of 12 o'clock in the p.m., so the afternoon, right when noon hits, instead of that, we're going to go 10 o'clock in the morning. So 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday, and we look forward to chatting with her, being able to sit down and see how things are and how things are going with her. And it's a bummer that we had a little miscommunication with the last time. So we were able to actually get her to have some time again. So we'll see her next Monday.
I'm excited.
Definitely. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing everybody again on Monday. And we will talk to you guys soon.
See you later.